Welcome to another edition of Roll Call. I'm Mike Bonenfant.
I'm Steve Crowninshield. Michael, how are you?
I'm good, Steve. It's still strange to be back here doing this, I got to tell you. You know, it's a little different.
I can't talk.
You can't?
Nope.
Why?
Well, last time I got yelled at by my wife and my kids. They said that I was stepping all over you and talking all over you, so I'm not going to say nothing, so I can't get accused of that again.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you know what? I called them and told them about that. I knew they'd take care of it for me. Thanks, Paula.
Yeah.
Girls.
You know, my timing was off, so I'll try to get a little better, Mike. But that's it. That's all I had.
I didn't notice, Steve, but
Well, thank you.
just saying. So, I will notice this show though if you do it.
Now that I
I'm
brought
going
you
to have to be like keyed into it.
Now that I brought you attention.
That's not really fair.
But
Hey,
listen,
Steve,
Michael, what's all this stuff we got?
I
I
don't
just
know.
all you begin. What's all this stuff we got here?
There's a bunch of stuff on the table in front of us, and we're actually going to see a picture of it, a little close-up of what it actually looks like. And as you're looking at that picture, which one's the real one, or which two?
Oh, it's 3 or 4. Here's the problem. We had an incident in the big city. This is one. Oh, a couple, 3 weeks ago, where a young man,
Here's
guy in his
another.
30, had about 30 years old, 29 years old, had a BB gun. He was about a heartbeat away from being shot. Thank God the officers there used great restraint. They had distance to cover. They had, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. He's standing there, and it turned out to be a BB gun. But at the time,
Correct. At the time, they didn't know. It was tough for them to tell what was what. And his was not a handgun. It was a rifle.
Yeah.
But he was doing a little target practice at Memorial Park, which he thought was kind of an okay thing to do, even though no one's supposed to be in the park after hours. After sunset, all parks and playgrounds are off limits. That's by law.
especially at 1 a.m.
Especially at 1 a.m. and especially holding some kind of weapon.
Yes.
Not necessarily a safe
Now,
thing.
this says Smith & Wesson, MP 45. This one says Walter. This is like James Bond had.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
This one says Smith & Wesson. I'm sorry, your turn. I'm sorry.
Oh,
This is
okay.
Smith. This says Smith. No, this says Sig Sauer, another manufacturer.
And this is also a Smith & Wesson MP45.
So which one is fake? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You stop the car. Kid walking down the street. Guy, not just a kid. That's in his waistband. What's real? What's not?
Yeah.
You tell me.
I couldn't tell you at this point, especially not at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No.
So we don't take any chances. There is only one real gun here.
Well, I'll
and
tell you what, Mike. We can. There's two.
We'll tell them after.
Yeah. Tell them
You're
after.
going to hide it?
Well, we'll show the two that the two they got to pick from.
Okay. Perfect. All right. We'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, that subject in Memorial Park was arrested. And strange part of that story, the rifle that he had was a BB gun, but he was in a vehicle that he said was his, identified to the officers as his. The vehicle came back as a non-return rental. It's basically a stolen vehicle. If you rent a car and don't return it, the rental car company will report it basically stolen.
Right.
It's a lease or a vehicle not returned. And it'll show up as a stolen vehicle. They did an inventory of the car. While they did an inventory, they went through a bag, found the real gun inside the bag. So he was also charged with that.
But
So.
you may know it's a BB gun. We don't, and we treat everyone as it's a real weapon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Steve, what else you got for
Well,
us this show?
this is a little lighter. This is a report from Tommy Larkin. This happened at 4 o'clock in the morning. He was dispatched to 11 Everett Street for a report of a neighbor disturbance involving 2 females arguing or fighting in the street. As they arrived, they didn't see anybody because they had gone back inside. Smart, the popo's coming, get out of Dodge, call it a night. But no. He meets a woman out in the street, a third party. She wasn't involved with it. She just heard the commotion. She said, as they were speaking with this woman, her daughter, Haven Galaza, come outside, approach Officer Ryan. He walked over to her. She was fighting with her girlfriend, and he could smell a strong odor of alcoholic beverage on her breath. She immediately became hostile and verbally abusive and started yelling obscenities. The police officer still at this point told her, get in the house, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, go to bed, see you in the morning. I cannot repeat what they put in the report here, but it wasn't...
This is cable. It's okay.
Yeah,
You can. It's cable. You
yeah.
can say stuff on cable. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no. So next out came a Doran Robinson, and she asked Officer Raven about Haven. She gets going at it. She spits at the cruiser. Again, she's not very happy with the police department, at that point, Haven started to screaming more bad stuff. At this point, that's it. Show's over. They both get placed under arrest. They still continued arguing, yelling. They were spitting. They were brought in for a disorderly conduct, and during the attempt to handcuff, they started a fight, so there was more physical. So Dory was charged with disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest, and Gonzala was disturbing the peace and disorderly conduct. Again, I'm sure alcohol was involved there. 4 o'clock in the morning. They had been arguing outside.
No.
That's what the woman. That's that third-party woman was out there saying that they had been arguing. They'd gone inside. She thought all was quiet.
And they could have gone back in the house, I'm
And
sure.
they
at
could have
one
gone
point,
back. Yes.
You know, so shame on them. Hey, get what you give.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, before I start this story, I have to do a shout out to someone. There's several people who have reached out to us before we did the show back, got the show back going, and said, you know, geez, I wish you'd do the show. One of those people who I've spoken to several times about this was a Roy Liederman, good friend of mine, and also my Panera partner. I just want to say thank you, Roy, for pushing me along in this. But
People that were showing me were saying, like, thank God you're off, get out of town.
well, I got a few of those too, I have to say. All right. This is from a report of Detective Bobby Kramer, who was actually working just a paid detail up at the Shaw's, well, they still call it Shaw's Plaza 44 on Winthrop Street, even though Shaw's is gone. But he was working up there at Plaza 44, working a detail up there in uniform, where he's sitting there in his car watching traffic and stuff going back through the stores, the McDonald's, the Vault Liquors, the whatever is still open up there. And he sees 2 kids on dirt bikes come through. He can tell that they're not street motorcycles. They come blasting through the parking lot, go around the McDonald's. So he doesn't see them come out the other side. At one point they do come back out the other side, cut across the parking lot in front of traffic, and then come back around the other side. He goes over there to where he last sees them. Now the motorcycles are parked in a parking spot up against a wooden barricade there at McDonald's. So he parks his car across from them and watches them for a while. And lo and behold, 2 young gentlemen come out to the motorcycles. At this point, he pulls up and kind of comes up and gets out of his car as they're getting in there. One of them gets his motorcycle started, and the officer identified both of them now. He recognized who they were. Calls the kid out by name and says, I know you're going to walk that motorcycle out of here. And so the kid kind of stops, and he goes to take off at one point, and the motorcycle stalls out. So now the officer grabs a hold of him. He sits him down on the ground. The other kid leaves the motorcycle there, but decides he's going to take his chances and runs off on foot. So he takes off, even at this point, the officer knows who he is. So he takes all the information from the 2 motorcycles. The kid said that he has there. He says, you know, I had just bought it from somebody. He says he thinks the other motorcycle might be stolen. So while they're there, someone else shows up. They actually call the other kid, and a little twist in the story. A couple minutes go by. They're looking for him. Several other officers had come out there to help Bobby, as well as the State Police K-9 unit. They were searching the area. Kid shows back up, and he's in a van with a 3rd gentleman. Van pulls up. He takes all the information from the guy in the van as well, speaks to the other kid, tells him he's going to get summoned in for the motorcycle charges, because neither one of them have a license to operate a motorcycle. The van is another one of those leases of enterprise rent-a-cars that hasn't been returned. So that subject is also summoned. So he was Amrian Khan. He was charged with failure to return leased property. The other 2 were Roberto Paez and Georgie Montanez. Roberto was charged with unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle and also receiving a stolen motor vehicle. It was a Honda that had been reported stolen. And Georgie was charged with unlicensed operation of a motor vehicle, negligent operation of a motor vehicle, and failure to stop for a police officer. Like I said, those motorcycles and the dirt bikes, huge pain in our neck.
Yeah. Slow but sure, we're chipping at it, but it's not easy.
We get them here and there.
Michael, we got about the half a second, so.
Really?
Yeah, so this is one gun.
This is another.
Which one is
They're
real?
identical.
Which one is fake?
They're both Smith & Wessons.
Yep.
Okay.
This one's the fake one.
And this one's the real one. And this is the only real gun on the table, as a matter of fact. And you can bet, by the way, before you all question it, Steve and I went through every single one of these guns at the beginning of the show. They're all empty. There's not a BB or a bullet in anything here. So We had total gun safety here. But yes, only one real gun on this table and 3 fakes. So hope you all had good guesses.
Yeah. All right,
All right.
we'll see you another week or so.
That was quick.
Yes.
Thanks for watching, folks.
Thank you.